The Gilmour Academy Lancer Hall of Fame was originally established in 1971 and is intended to honor former Gilmour Academy varsity student athletes and coaches who demonstrated excellence in their athletic pursuits and accomplishments. All 12 student athletes being honored played multiple sports during their careers as Lancers, and we are excited to induct them into the Hall of Fame for their accomplishments. Meredith Batcheller was a three-sport athlete during her time at Gilmour, competing in ice hockey, tennis, and softball. During her time at Gilmour, she helped to build the girls' hockey team from scratch and takes great honor and pride knowing that she assisted Coach Malloy and Coach Brown in getting the program running. Meredith went on to play hockey at Dartmouth College and helped the team to appear at the NCAA Frozen Four in 2004 and 2005, the NCAA Elite Eight in 2007, Ivy League champs in 2004 and 2007, and ECAC champs in 2007. Nate Campbell was a four-sport athlete during his time at Gilmour, competing in baseball, basketball, hockey, and soccer. One of Nathan's fondest memories of athletics at Gilmour was the 2007 home basketball game win over University School. It had been a long time since Gilmour Academy had beaten US in basketball, and being able to pull out this win at home was an incredible accomplishment for Nathan and one of his fondest memories. Nathan went on to attend Miami, Ohio, and played on their club baseball team for 4 years. Katherine Gurley was a three-sport athlete during her time at Gilmour, competing in basketball, cross country, and baseball. Katherine made her mark by being the first girl in Ohio to win a varsity baseball game as a pitcher, and she also won multiple MAC and district championships in baseball and cross country. After her time at Gilmour, Katherine went on to play basketball at Loyola University and also played baseball on the USA Baseball Women's team, winning in the World Series. Melanie Kiener competed in cross country and track and field while at Gilmour, setting multiple records and championships. During her time at Gilmour Academy, Melanie helped the girls cross country team become state champions, break the 4x4 and the 4x8 state records, and she was on the podium in the 800 all 4 of her high school years. Melanie went on to be part of the Emory University varsity cross country and track teams, where she earned UAA All-American in cross country and track. Brittany Link was a two-sport athlete at Gilmour, competing in volleyball and basketball. During her time at Gilmour, Brittany earned First Team All-Ohio in 2010, News Hero Player of the Year in 2010, and was a recipient of the Charles A. Mooney Trophy for the Most Valuable Female Athlete in 2011. After graduating from Gilmour, Brittany went on to further her athletic and academic career at Brown University, where she was a 4-year member of the varsity volleyball team. Kyle Maggard was an avid hockey player during his time at Gilmour Academy and competed on the boys prep hockey team and varsity hockey teams. During his time at Gilmour, Kyle helped lead the hockey team to many victories, including beating the top-ranked St. Edward Eagles in overtime at home in 2003. After Gilmour, Kyle went on to play 4 years of NCAA Division I hockey for the Army West Point Black Knights. He was a 2-time Atlantic Hockey Association Scholar Athlete of the Year and won the 2012 West Point Gunning Award. In addition to athletics, Kyle was a U.S. Army captain from 2012 to 2019 and was deployed as a platoon leader to Liberia for Operations United Assistance to help combat the Ebola epidemic in 2014-2015. Kyle was also the 2012 Distinguished Honor Graduate from West Point and a 2012 Rotary Scholar recipient to the University of Cambridge, England. Thank you for your service, Kyle. Therese Roche was a 4-sport athlete during her time at Gilmour Academy, competing in softball, track, soccer, and basketball. During her time at Gilmour Academy, Therese set the school track record for the 4x100, 4x400, 4x800, and the 300 hurdles, and she still maintains the 300 hurdle record. Therese was also a state qualifier in the 4x100, 4x400, 4x800, and 300 hurdles. After Gilmour, Therese went to the University of Pennsylvania to study architecture and art history. Stephen Teisl was a 5-sport athlete during his time at Gilmour Academy, competing in soccer, basketball, tennis, football, and track. While playing soccer, Steve was a captain and MVP. First team Greater Cleveland, first team All-Conference MAC 8, first team News Herald, and has school records for the fastest goal scored, 10 seconds. And Stephen also helped his soccer team to become MAC 8 champions. In football, Stephen was a first team All-Conference kicker for the MAC 8. In track and field, he made regionals and first team News Herald in the long jump and made regionals and second team News Herald in the 300 hurdles. After Gilmour Academy, Stephen went to Lake Forest College, where he was a 4-year starter on the men's soccer team. Candace Longino-Thomas was a star track and field athlete and made her mark at Gilmour Academy, running an 11.86 PR and continued to perform well at states, winning both the 4x1 and 4x2 relays. After Gilmour Academy, Candace was accepted to TCU and then later transferred to Tiffin University, where she placed 8th at the Indoor Nationals in the 400-meter dash, which was a PR at 54.99 seconds. Brittany Tyree was a 2-sport athlete while at Gilmour Academy, competing in both track and field and cross country. Tyree's versatility in track and field helped lead Gilmour women's track and field team to achieve 2 state championships, including their first ever championship in 2005 and 1 team state runner-up showing. During her career, she competed successfully in the array of events, including cross country, the 1600 meter, the 800 meter, the 400 meter, the 200 meter, long jump and high jump, and she set school records and also placed at states year after year. After Gilmour Academy, Brittany went on to Ohio University, where she competed on the track and field team. She was a team captain and placed all-time top 5 in the following events: number 1 in the 4x800 and number 4 in the women's heptathlon. Kelsey Rodgers Welhouse was a 3-sport athlete during her time at Gilmour Academy, competing in basketball, softball, and volleyball. During her time at Gilmour, Kelsey received the 100 Strikeout Award for softball. She also helped the Gilmour Academy volleyball team to be state runners-up her senior year. After Gilmour, Kelsey attended the University of Dayton, then was selected as one of 7 in the Cleveland Clinic's dietetic internship program. During his time at Gilmour Academy, Peter Wolff was a 3-sport athlete, competing in tennis, soccer, and swimming. At Gilmour, Peter was awarded 9 varsity letters and was also co-captain of the tennis team his senior year. After Gilmour, Peter went on to explore Europe and had a remarkable career in different areas like skydiving, being a private chef, a private pilot, and a professional photographer for many years. We are thrilled to recognize the 12 newest members of Gilmour Academy's Athletic Hall of Fame. The 2023 class is composed of 12 former student athletes, each of whom made a lasting mark on their respective programs. Congratulations to our inductees, and thank you for joining us to celebrate today.
And by the time she left, people knew who Gilmour Academy girls hockey was. And I'll be forever indebted to her and her teammates for helping that to happen. Well, I think it's important to understand a little bit of history. At the time Meredith was playing, most of the girls played hockey with the boys. And in order to be able to do that, you have to be very tough and you have to be resilient. And those are 2 qualities that Meredith possessed in great amounts. Besides the fact she was just a terrific player. But when you add that toughness and that resilience, she just made her a complete player as well.
Meredith was one of my best friends. We played softball together pretty much for all of our 4 years at Gilmour together. And some of her top qualities are her leadership. She's someone that leads with values, and she is very trustworthy. And as one of my best friends, that was an amazing quality. Someone that leads by example, someone that's dedicated and super hardworking. She's very kind, but has an amazing sense of humor as well. And I think that, again, speaks volumes to her leadership, right? She's able to lead with humility and kindness, lead by example, very hard worker and dedicated to what she is doing, and also dedicated to being excellent.
Meredith was just an outgoing young lady, and I think people gravitated to her because of that. She surrounded herself with winners. She was a winner. You heard the statement that you are who your friends are. Well, Meredith was one of those people that winners gravitated towards. She was an outstanding, not just an outstanding hockey player, but she excelled in many other sports as well. So just a terrific Gilmour student athlete.
Meredith's friendship is something that I've really incredibly valued over the years. She's steadfast, you can count on her. She's just a wonderful human being. And I feel really lucky to, have overlapped with her for 4 years at Gilmour, and then have had our friendship carry on over the foreseeable future. So she was the first one that I called when we had our 20-year reunion just this year, and we were able to come back together and spend some good quality time together, and it was just like nothing had ever changed. So she's a great friend. What
Meredith did for us was our girls program was fledgling. We started it in 2001, and she graduated in 2003. And by the time she left, people knew who Gilmour Academy girls hockey was. She was such an instrumental part of us becoming a nationally recognized girls prep program. And I'll be forever indebted to her and her teammates for helping that to happen.
I think in terms of the legacy she's left for Gilmour, she's really left this amazing hockey legacy. She has provided an imprint and a path forward for all women hockey players that come through the school. And I think that's really an amazing legacy to have left behind.
Meredith Batcheller has such unique quality of being a person who is somewhat disarming because she has a beautiful smile, but she's also so strong and so skilled. And she put all that together to help create a team that was successful. And it's all those qualities combined that clearly made her a Hall of Fame award winner for Gilmour Academy.
It is a great honor to be inducted into the GA Hall of Fame. My hockey, tennis, and softball teams all molded me into the person I am today. I'm not one to think about legacy, but I take such great honor and pride in the girls' ice hockey program. Seeing the opportunities it provides to girls and young women today makes me feel extremely proud. I've always worked hard to leave the jersey in a better place than where I found it, and this recognition is wonderful and humbling. Looking back now, forgetting about grades and tests and games, Gilmour instilled in me an appreciation for learning, the value of sport, and the importance of community. I was also encouraged to be nothing but myself, a lifelong lesson I try to take with me every day. Thanks to my mentors, teachers, and coaches, especially Coach John Malloy. I'm forever grateful to this campus and its people, and of course to my parents, my brothers, and my family for the love and support they've shown me every step along the way.
Hit 2 bombs, and I still don't think they landed yet, and that just propelled us on our journey all the way to Columbus.
So I had the opportunity to coach Nate as one of the assistant coaches on the baseball team. Nate was really great at multiple sports, but he really shined at baseball here at Gilmour. He was a 4-year letter winner, and what he brought to the table every day was really great skill when it came to the sport itself. But even more than that, he brought a great personality to the program. A willingness to do anything he needed to get better, but then also the willingness to keep things light and allow teammates to have fun and enjoy the process.
Wow, Nate Campbell, Hall of Fame. Congratulations, buddy, well deserved. Nate was a 08 graduate of the Academy and helped lead us to our first Final Four berth. Nate was a 4-year letterman for us. By his junior year, he had played almost every position at one time or another, but he settled in at first base and was 4th in the batting order for us. And he was just a rock star for us. He made people pitch to Billy Urban, who was another great player who was inducted a year or two ago. And without Nate Campbell being behind Billy, Billy probably doesn't make the Hall of Fame. So if you want a tip of the cap from Billy, there it is.
Teammates were everything to Nate when he was part of the baseball team, because he knew for us to make it where we wanted to go as a program, every player on that team mattered. And he did his best to try to build them up, whether it's just giving them the confidence to play their best or teaching them new skills along the way himself.
One of the great moments from Nate Campbell was in the district semis and district finals of that year. Nate hit 2 bombs, and I still don't think they landed yet, and that just propelled us on our journey all the way to Columbus.
Yeah, I think we'll always remember Nate in baseball for a few things: some towering home runs in playoff games, or just unbelievable defense at first base. Maybe the best defensive first baseman we've ever had here.
Nate, couldn't have happened to a better guy. I know your brother played for the program too. Great family, great parents, husband, new father. Nate, congratulations, welcome to history. Gilmour Academy, Athletic Hall of Fame. Couldn't have happened to a better man. Congratulations, buddy.
His ability to be a great teammate and to help be a great leader as part of a 2008 team is really the reason why Nate Campbell is in our Athletic Hall of Fame.
I think the most special thing, especially with where we're at in this induction ceremony, which is, over the past 15 years, I haven't lived in Cleveland really since high school, but I follow Gilmour on Instagram, and my parents tell me about it, everything that's going on. You can see just how much changes and how much Gilmour is investing in our campus and our kids in order to make them the best that they possibly can be. And so you can see that they're always pushing for the future. But then when we are going through a process like this, where they're, acknowledging the efforts of one person who, excelled at baseball 15 years ago, it's really special that they're actually taking the time to also look back and remember as well, which also pushes me to look back and remember and be thankful, which is a really, positive thing. I thank my parents first off, just because they were willing to invest in me at a really early age to be able to go to a school like Gilmour, which I know is, not exactly a low-cost expense, but it was a really special thing to be able to go to a school like that, in which at the time my primary reason for going to Gilmour was to play hockey, and then that quickly became not a possibility due to some injuries, but I ended up excelling at baseball, which a lot of that is due to a lot of my teammates and whatnot, being able to work with them and play with them. And I played with Billy Urban for a long time since we were kids, and we both basically kind of pushed each other to be as good as we possibly could be, and obviously ended up leading our team to be in a very special place, particularly in the 2008 season. But then I remember Coach Sharnsky, in which he passed away a little while ago, in which he was always somebody who was pushing us to be as good as we possibly could be, even though he wasn't exactly the healthiest at times. And you look back and you really think about particularly the coaches, the type of effort that they put in just to support our team. I don't know, it just shows how much they love the game, but also love investing in the guys on the team, which is I think a really special thing.
Pursue a male-dominated sport and be a part of a team, and not only be a part of a team, but be a standout player on that team is just really incredible.
The first time I met Katherine, I was a sophomore, she was a junior. We were playing basketball together, and she really made an impression because she was one of the few ladies that could just nail a three-point shot. And so that, of course, is memorable from a performance standpoint. But another thing that really sticks out to me was her sister had a baby while we were in high school. And so she, young 16-year-old, becomes an aunt. and this was her older sister, of course, and she just really embraced that role, and I just remember her really enjoying that role in her niece's life as an aunt.
My relationship with Katherine has been pretty special since high school. She's the aunt of one of my very best friends, and in turn she's kind of become an aunt for me. We spent a ton of holidays together, gone to different sporting events together. I visited her in New Orleans, so she's really been just another addition to my family.
From the get-go, we were immediately good friends. Although we bonded over basketball, we had a lot of things in common. One of the things that I really distinctly remember about her is, although she was really funny, she had a certain maturity about her.
Katherine's top qualities include being very caring, very supportive, and she's very brave. At Gilmour, she was the first female to ever play on a male baseball team, and she really set the trend for all athletes at Gilmour. She's inspired other female athletes to really pursue their dreams and has kind of blazed a path for all of them, as well as continued to support them even now to this day. Her niece, like I mentioned before, who I'm friends with, was the next female to play on a male baseball team. So she really just set that trend for all female athletes to do whatever they want and pursue all their passions.
So why is Katherine a Hall of Famer? And I think that's a really easy question to answer for a couple reasons. One is her commitment to the team. She always placed the team ahead of her own personal goals. And due to her character, she always embraced all the players.
I believe Katherine is a Hall of Famer simply for all of the iconic things that she did while she was at Gilmour. Every day when you're a woman, you're faced with challenges, especially when it comes to athletics and athletics that are male dominated. So being able to have that courage to pursue a male dominated sport and be a part of the team, and not only be a part of the team, but be a standout player on that team is just really incredible.
So she had the dedication and the drive. She was always committed to the team and to our performance. She was a quiet professional. She wasn't going to get up in your face and yell at you. She was going to encourage you. In practice, she was going to set the example and hustle at all times and come in and work extra to ensure that she was ready to perform on game day.
And this is why Katherine is being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, attending Gilmour for me was one of the greatest life-changing events I've experienced. The environment that it afforded and the things that I learned through time there with teachers, coaches, classmates, teammates really provided me with a foundation of principles that I like to think I carried through my athletic, academic, and professional careers. I really value my time there. I think overall, my time at Gilmour, of course, it wouldn't have been possible without my parents and without Gilmour allowing me the opportunity to go to school there, number one. But number two, I had such a unique experience there because of the coaches and classmates and teammates that I had. Specifically, my experience playing baseball on the baseball team. Much to everyone's shock, I was welcomed by Coach Ray Sharsky, and that's really had a huge influence on me moving forward. It was a great experience and a pretty unique one to be a girl who was able to play baseball for our high school baseball team. That's right, I think I was the first girl pitcher in the state of Ohio to record a win on a varsity baseball team. That was a unique experience that not many people or even female athletes can say, so I love that experience.
I mean, she's a superstar when it came to academics, or when it came to athletics, or whether it came to life.
I first got to know Melanie when she was a middle schooler, 8th grade, and running for St. Joan of Arc, and knew right away that this was a young woman that we'd want at Gilmour, not just for her athletic prowess, but for her just general overall personality, which is just filled the room.
Well, Melanie was the first athlete in the history of Gilmour Academy to qualify for the 800 meters 4 times during her career. and she scored in the top 5 4 times at the state championships. She was also, and I'm not just saying this, she was the most reliable athlete I ever coached. There was never an up or down. She was as steady as they came. She was a fireball.
Push come to shove, when it came to big competitions, whether it be districts, regionals, or state championships, she was incredible. She helped set several state records, school records. I'll never forget freshman year, they're on their way down to the state championships, and they came to us as a 4x8 team, and they asked us what was the state record in the 4x8, and I looked it up, and there it was, and the girls, all 4 of them, wrote 9:13 and change on their spikes, and then went out and set it and won the gold medal and broke the state record the next day at the state championship.
I remember one vivid moment at the state track and field championships with Melanie and 3 of her teammates, Becca Simcoe, Grace Fenzer, and Grace Brennan, in which we were down by 10 points and we needed to win the 4x4 to win the state title, the team title. And I remember Melanie there with their teammates. They were very nervous because I told them, the girls there, I said, girls, if we win this relay, we'll win the state championship. And they were nervous, but looking around, especially looking at Melanie, I knew they were going to do it.
She never let you down. She either would run up to her potential or exceed that. Right now, she's Dr. Mel Frank. I mean, that's how far she went. And I know in college she qualified for the nationals in cross country. I saw her run them one year at when it came to Ohio. I went out and watched her run when she was running for Emory. I mean, she's a superstar when it came to academics, or when it came to athletics, or whether it came to life.
When the chips were down, Mel always delivered. And as I said, Coach Chappelle and I often said, you know what? Melanie is as dependable as there was. There was never a moment where she faltered.
And that is why Melanie Frank is a Gilmour Academy Hall of Famer.
I think no one deserves more of the Hall of Fame than Melanie as an athlete, as an academic, and then just as an all-around person.
You know, Coach Lindley, Coach Chappelle, Coach Klein, they were just the best coaches and so supportive. And I think just like genuinely liked what they did as coaches, which I think helped us all like what we were doing. And then definitely my parents, I think they came to every single cross country and track meet, rain or shine. They always volunteered at the Gilmour ones. They were by far my biggest fans, and I'm very thankful for them. I feel very grateful to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, so thank you. Running at Gilmour, cross country and track was such a huge part of my high school experience. It's where I met all of my best friends that I still keep in touch with today. And I feel like I had really good mentoring from the older girls when I was younger, and just like amazing coaching. I think, you know, it helped me develop a work ethic, which has helped me in my career. And then I think it really developed my love for running, and I'm still a huge runner today, and I think I owe a lot of that to the experiences that I had at Gilmour. My 2 best friends from the cross country and track team, they were bridesmaids in our wedding. Now we're all having kids together. We still keep in touch and talk all the time. So yeah, I'm grateful for running to have brought us together.
It's almost like God blessed her with the gift of flight. She was the heart and soul of that team.
So the first time I met Brittany at an open gym, we used to play on Sunday nights in the summer. I remember Brittany walking in and Had no idea who she was, being a freshman, but I was just like, wow, she's pretty tall. And then playing in open gym was like, oh, she's pretty good for a freshman.
Brittany Link was my advisee for all 4 years, and it was really wonderful to have her. An incredible student and an incredible athlete. And you wouldn't know that she was such a top performer on the volleyball court and in the classroom because she was so humble. And I think just being a humble, accomplished student athlete was something that just came naturally to her.
She's a tremendous athlete. I mean, it was just, you know, it's almost like God blessed her with the gift of flight. I mean, she just, you know, effortless jumper. She played all 3 front row attacking positions for us at Brown. Excellent athlete. And off the court, I mean, the sweetest kid you'll ever meet.
Being a freshman on a senior-dominated team for probably 99% of any freshman in that situation, she was very quiet, reserved, and that was probably her standout quality, I would say. It was just how steady and consistent she was, and didn't let success get to her head or failure bother her whatsoever.
She was one of the ones that put Gilmour's volleyball program on the map. She played 2 different positions the year that they won the state championship, and you know, she was a middle blocker and a setter. And that's not a combination you normally see, but you know, that's what the team needed, and that's what she did. She was she was the heart and soul of that team.
Brittany is a resident at Case Western Reserve University, and I've known her for the last 3 years. And one of the things that stood out in Brittany Link's application was her leadership. It was obvious to me the trajectory of her leadership going from the time that she was here at Gilmour.
So one other thing to kind of piggyback off of Kelsey Rodgers' induction in the Hall of Fame is Brittany Link kind of stepping in right after Kelsey and continuing that excellence of play in order to excel and continue the strong Gilmour program, representing the program in the state tournament. And Brittany certainly has to be credited with continuing that tradition that is now firmly established.
You know, I miss her. I miss seeing her, and I'm very proud of the fact that, you know, she is going into the Hall of Fame at Gilmour.
And this is why she earned her spot at Gilmour's Athletic Hall of Fame.
And I think that's why she's in the Hall of Fame.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is a huge honor for me. I know how many other talented athletes are already here, so I was very surprised and honored when I found out that I would be one of the inductees this year. I was very, very proud to attend Gilmour and to contribute on the women's volleyball team, so it's a giant honor to be here. On the volleyball team, the goal the entire season was to make it to the state tournament. And especially my senior year, I remember we, as a team, set our sights on that goal. So throughout the season, we did everything we could. We stayed focused, and we knew we wanted to make it down to Bright State. And I remember this was the regional finals. The game was very, very, very close. It was the 5th game, and Gilmour was down. We were down, I think it was 12-2. And we were so focused on making it to the state tournament, and we came back and won that game. And it was such an incredible memory, and that was the kickoff to the state tournament that year. The people I would like to thank the most are my parents. Gilmour was a very far commute for us from where we lived, and my parents giving me the opportunity to drive an hour every day both ways is something I cannot thank them enough for. And the opportunity to be inducted into the Hall of Fame is largely thanks to my coaches, my teammates. You know, I'm here, but without them, this honor would not have been possible.
His passion, his hard work, his dedication, his toughness all came together while he was here at Gilmour.
Yeah, so I met Kyle actually a fair bit before we both went to Gilmour. We played travel hockey together. I think we were 10 years old when we first met, and he moved from outside of Buffalo to Cleveland, and yeah, he was the new kid on our team, and then we were fast friends, and He's kind of, yeah, my best buddy from that time all the way like through graduation at Gilmour and beyond.
Jared and Kyle were a year behind me, so they were kind of like my tag-alongs, and we were just always hanging out playing hockey, and that's where our relationship started. And you know, we kind of all three of us kind of went through like winding around some different teams, and all ended up at Gilmour. I was 05, they were all 06, and I guess I was like the Gilmour trailblazer for our group. And you know, I came and shadowed and loved it, and the following year Kyle shadowed me and my brother as well. And I'm gonna say it was like you know, I made the decision for everyone. It was like a done deal that like we were all just gonna kind of do it, and everyone loved it.
I actually use Kyle as an example to families who are looking at Gilmour about one of the strengths of our program is the ability for young men and young women to get on the ice and develop their skills. And Kyle was an undersized freshman who was very skilled already, but needed a little bit of time to develop. And his passion, his hard work, his dedication, his toughness all came together while he was here at Gilmour. And he ended up being one of our best players. And he started on the JV squad. So it's just a tribute to a young man who stuck with it and kept developing throughout his time here, and just a terrific young man across the board.
He was like in the best way, just like confident in who he was even as a young kid, and was just like super fun and out there and meeting new people, and that's the type of person that would just kind of bring people in, bring people together, was always so fun to have around, and like that kind of like outgoing and fun, confident personality was like the type of hockey player he was.
Every team that Kyle was on from the time he got there, he was always just, you know, based on just the skill he had and the work ethic, he was just always putting up points and leading the team, and you know, almost first line from day one. But it wasn't that it was people just gave it to him. He came out and proved it consistently, and that's you know, just from really the day he walked in the doors was able to prove it day in, day out.
Being smaller helped him because he developed other skills that came to serve him later. And one of those things was that he became tougher than a lot of players, and he still had a small player skill set, which made him a big player on the ice.
This single track mind of, I have a goal, I'm gonna, you know, show the coaches, show the team, show whatever, of just like the commitment that I have to this, and borderline crazy, but also at the same time like inspiring, and will, you know, I'll you know, let this guy lead me kind of thing. Was just that funny yet a real example of the type of just like fearlessness that Kyle had that was just like easy to rally around and get behind. When
it comes to Kyle, one of the things that I'm real proud about is how he served our country. You know, it takes a certain attribute to be successful at West Point. We've been fortunate to have a couple players go there and play hockey for West Point. You have to be an exceptional student, an exceptional hockey player, and you must have to have a mindset that's unique. And I am so proud that he was able to put all that together and have a successful career there and take that on afterwards. He's just an amazing, remarkable young man.
And that is why Kyle Maggard is being inducted to the Gilmour Hall of Fame.
And that's why Kyle Maggard is being inducted to the Hall of Fame.
You know, when I think about Kyle Maggard and why he's in the Hall of Fame, it's because of those attributes that made him bigger than himself. He made himself a force on the ice, but he was never selfish. He was always selfless, and that allowed him to be the great player that he was, as well as to be part of tremendous teams. Amazing young man.
I will start with my parents. It was, they worked really hard to be able to send me to Gilmour. And it was a life-changing decision for them and for me. And that hard work that every athlete has certainly comes from and certainly did in my case, the home front. And so just like seeing how hard my parents worked, and giving me that opportunity to go to like such a prestigious institution like Gilmour, first and foremost have to thank them. Also want to thank my wife, Ashley, for being my best friend since 2005. And so, see, I'm gonna get choked up now. Wasn't planning on that happening. Yeah, just am so happy to build a life together with her. And the fact that we had like shared Gilmour as our foundation is, I couldn't ask for anything better. So thank you to my wife, thank you to my wife's parents, my in-laws, Tom and Diane, for being like a second set of parents to me from the moment I met them. So very thankful there. I want to also thank the Smith family, Jared, Brandon, Cindy, and their father, Dr. Smith, for, again, welcoming me into their home for so many years, and really being the family that I followed into Gilmour. So can't thank them enough for being the best friends that they are as well. I want to thank Kathy Kenny. I want to thank John Malloy for being in my corner, for being supportive of me from day one. Still today, I light up every time I see them. I can't wait for my kids to follow in Ashley and I's footsteps and become Lancers themselves. I want to thank Todd Sweeta as well, who is and continues to be a huge influence in my life. From Gilmour, he was my counselor at Gilmour, and was very supportive afterwards as well. And then there are just countless other people that made Gilmour what it was for me and make this such a big honor. And why I'm so proud to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, because it actually means a lot to me, because of the people that I got to share that experience with and still am now and have so many fond memories of. Like, I just can't thank them enough.
She really always had a way to make all of her teammates and friends laugh all the time. I started at Gilmour my freshman year of high school and started playing soccer right off the bat, and that's when I met Therese. And I really knew from basically the second I met her that I wanted to be friends with her. My relationship with Therese has now been 26 years, which is hard to believe, but we've remained really, really good friends throughout. I'd say best friends, actually. She was my maid of honor. We've traveled across the world together. We've taken family vacations together. I introduced her to her husband, so she owes me a lot for that. But through it all, we've just been really, really great friends, and I'm so grateful to have her as a best friend.
I know that Therese excelled in basketball and soccer. Certainly her marquee event was running the 300 hurdles. And we've had a lot of records set through the years at Gilmour, but Therese's record in 300 hurdles has yet to be broken. So even more than 20 plus years later, with all the phenomenal track athletes we've had, Therese still holds that record, where she was a state qualifier in that event. I think she might be the last state qualifier we've had in the 300 hurdles for women.
Therese was intense. As a competitor, as a person, she never backed down from anything. I remember one anecdote. It was a practice just before head into the championship season, where we had our league championships and then the districts. And it was obvious to her that her teammates weren't as locked in. And from all across the field, I could hear Therese screaming and hollering at her teammates and just urging them on to do their best and to stop goofing around, because she wanted the best out of everybody, and that's the way she pushed each and everybody that was there.
Therese was always, and still is, very passionate about everything that she does. She gives 110%, in everything that she does, and that tends to be very motivating to people around her. She's incredibly genuine and very authentic. I don't know why this sticks out to me, but she was, you know, like the pretty, fun, amazing girl in high school, but had a trash can in her very dirty car, which she just was very unapologetically Therese, just random little things like that I always think about. She's incredibly smart, funny, witty, and just an amazing person.
I even remember once at the district track meet, we needed another leg for the 4x800, and she had never run that race before. And she went out and ran it, and I think she ran about a 2:21 for half a mile, which is a really excellent time. And we were just so amazed that she would do something like that willingly and then put up in an amazing time and help the girls team in the 4x8 advance to the regionals.
She went with reckless abandon at the hurdles, at the long jump. She took on everything that was there. And as a competitor, that overflowed to her teammates. And so I think she brought the level of competition and competitiveness. She raised the game for her and her teammates when it came to crunch time. And I think that's why Therese Roche is a Hall of Famer.
Therese and her group of teammates, I think, really sort of set the ball rolling. And in terms of their success, set a standard that although they didn't get the big trophy at the state meet, they were able to make it to the state meet, compete, learn valuable things, which they passed on to the younger runners, who then ultimately were able to go through what I often refer to as sort of the golden age of track and field here at Gilmour, where the girls won 4 state titles and 2 state runners-up in 6 years. And so I think Therese had a lot to do with that.
She really always had a way to make all of her teammates and friends laugh all the time. So one thing that Therese was very impressed with about herself was that she had been Annie in her grade school performance of Annie. And she loved to tell us that her performance was the most iconic performance that her grade school had ever seen, and that her performance of Annie had made people cry. So one time during one of her usual performances of Tomorrow, we were away at soccer camp, and I was on the bed, the bunk bed beneath her, and she was belting out Tomorrow as loud as she could, and the whole bunk bed actually collapsed onto me. So she'd been telling us all these years that her performance of Annie made people cry, and in that moment she actually succeeded in that because we all were dying laughing, that we all started crying. And it's one of the fondest memories that I have of Therese.
I am deeply honored to be entering into the Gilmour Academy Sports Hall of Fame. This recognition represents years of hard work, dedication, and passion for the sports that I love, soccer, basketball, and track. It's a testament to the support of my coaches, teammates, family, and last but not least, my best friend. This honor fuels my commitment to uphold the values of sportsmanship and hopefully inspire my children to do the same. Thank you so much for this privilege.
We're real proud of him and happy to know that he'll be, going down in history next to our dad in this way.
Steve Teisl really stood out as really a marvel athlete in our years in high school here at Gilmour. And the reason for it is, he was one of the first, if not the only, I'm not sure, 5-sport letter winner in a single year. He lettered in football, soccer, basketball, tennis, and track in a single year. And I think it just speaks to his abilities to translate his skills across multiple sports. And everybody wanted to be his teammate, and we're all grateful for it. And that's why Steve Teisl should be in the Athletic Hall of Fame.
I joke with people all the time that Steve was nominated based on quantity rather than quality, but it really is just a joke because he was quality in all of those sports. And so this is very much deserved. Such a cool part, right, of the Teisl and Gale family legacy at Gilmour, which is a very long one. And I know, that our dad would be overwhelmingly proud of this moment for Steve. And my dad was a part of it, right? He was his coach during his time at Gilmour, but his coach in life and soccer all the way leading up and for many years after. And so I know he'd be very proud, like we all are.
Certainly starting with his passion and his love of sport. Thinking about your earlier question about him, how he's impacted me, one of those ways is really, he's also a guy who has, as far as I can see, always done what he loved, followed his passions, followed his strengths, and I think he brought all that to the sports world in terms of the contributions he made there. I was thinking that last time I had any involvement with an induction like this was the one for our father, and so it's he's in good company. In joining this group of people, and we're real proud of him, and happy to know that he'll be going down in history next to our dad in this way.
Well, Steve came to us obviously as the son of Tio, and an incredible athlete, and I used to watch him on the soccer field and kicking balls for the football team. And then I knew Tio was a long jump coach, and he said, I think Steve could help us out in track. And I said, that'd be great. And there he was, a guy who's a 5-letter athlete as a senior doing 5 sports, but he was a performer par excellence on the track as far as long jump was concerned.
Steve exemplifies everything you would want in a Gilmour graduate. He gives back to others more than he seeks for himself. Steve is a leader. He serves by example, and he's continuing to give throughout his life. Steve, even to this day, is giving back to Gilmour. One thing that people may not realize about Steve is he has gone through many personal challenges in his lifetime. But despite his competitive nature, Steve always accepted victory graciously and accepted defeat in stride, both examples set by his parents. Our Teisl and Gale families are so excited by Steve's induction into the Hall of Fame. And I know his mom, Ro, father, Tio, and his brother, Christopher, are looking down on him and are so excited by his accomplishment. I am so honored to be part of Steve's induction into the Hall of Fame at Gilmour. Congratulations, Steve.
Yeah, I would tell you the best story, and while I was still coaching, I would always still use a story. Steve probably was not happy with me when I took over as the head basketball coach. He was a junior, and as a sophomore, I think he got a little bit of varsity time. And when I came in as the new head coach, I was young. I didn't know really what I was doing as a coach just because I had just finished playing. And I thought the best thing for us, for Steve to become the best player here at Gilmour, was to play JV as a junior. And that's not easy. It's not easy to ask a junior to do. And Steve, I'm sure, was upset. I'm sure he had wanted to say some things to me, but he's probably the only player that has ever taken advantage of it, got better on the JV playing as a junior. And it was really unbelievable the senior year he had for us, just because he got a lot of playing time as a junior. He developed, his skills better and stuff like that. And senior year, he was a starter for us and had a great senior year.
It means a lot. Growing up, my family has a long history with Gilmour, so to kind of be honored in that lineage and follow so many people who are so important to this campus and so important to athletic programs, it's really special. Obviously, my dad was inducted a few years back as a coach, so to get the opportunity to play for him and for me to help his career be more successful, him to help me reach this point, is a really special bond. My family has a very long history. My mom and dad met here. My grandfather was one of the first lay teachers at Gilmour, leading to my dad being here in many roles throughout his career. So in a lot of ways, you could say I never would have been here if it weren't for Gilmour, because it kind of brought my family together. And then obviously kind of following behind my brother's footsteps in the soccer program, that was special for me too, because I feel like I was able to kind of take a combination of what they brought out on the athletic fields and kind of push it to another level, and they definitely helped me get there and achieve that success.
If nothing else you use on this, I want to say thank you, Candace, for letting me ride along with you. Before Gilmour, I've been a track official for 20 plus years, so she went to her first track meet with me when she was about 8 or 9. And she would sit in the stands or walk around with me while I'm performing my duties, and she saw pole vaulting going on. So she said, I want to try that, Pop. So I said, well, you can't try it till you get to high school anyway, but I knew she was far too uncoordinated to ever be a pole vaulter anyway, so that was just me talking. But that was her first experience with wanting to try track. And from there we went to, summer track programs. And actually, to be all in full disclosure, my wife and I didn't even go to her first meet. We had something going on, so her cousin took her, and we just assumed that, she was just gonna go out there and just do whatever. Told me she won, and I said, you gotta be kidding me. So I said, well, maybe I should go to the next meet that she runs in. And when I saw her, being around track, you could just see when something is special. And I just looked and I said, man, I might have something special here.
Well, I'm gonna go back to when Candace's father was running track in high school. His coach and almost surrogate father was Coach Claude Holland, who was my best friend. So I remember Tony Longino-Thomas when he was in high school, high jumping, and that's how I got to know him. And then years later, when Candace was old enough to start running track, I started following her because I knew him, and I was real close friends with Coach Holland.
Candace Longino-Thomas was one of the top sprinters in the history of Ohio. She came in as a first-year athlete and made an immediate mark. As I said, in 2009, she was a member of the 4x200 meter relay that established the Gilmour record. And she also set the school record in the 200 meter dash at 23.87. The following year, the 100 meter dash, 11.75. Those records still stand today. She was obviously made her teammates want to be better because they wanted to rise up to her level of competitiveness, her level of performance. And she was a performance-driven young lady. And as a result of her performances on the track, as a result of her tenacity in the classroom, as a result of her being a very coachable athlete, she's left a tremendous mark, not only on Gilmour and the Gilmour athletes that were able to work with her during the time that she was here, but also on the state of Ohio and on the nation. So it is because of these things, and not just these things alone, because this is a very short interview, there are many, many more, that Candace is more than deserving to be placed into the Gilmour Academy Hall of Fame, and I'm sure that she will wear that moniker proudly for the rest of her life.
Well, one of the things was, and it's funny, I always tell people, being an official and being out there, when she first started, she started out as being Tony's daughter, because they knew me from being a track official, and that lasted probably maybe a year, and after that point, it was like, oh, aren't you Candace's dad? So she wasn't Tony's daughter anymore. I was Candace's dad.
They just called her Candace. Didn't have to say her last name. They knew who she was. They knew she was coming. Everyone, first they wanted to see if she was there from other teams. And once they knew she was there, they wanted to know what she was running, because most of the time, and just about all of the time, everybody was going to be running for second place.
I think they trusted her. And it was funny because I remember talking to her coach at TCU, and he said, one thing you can't teach or train is a dog. And he said, I want a dog getting my stick, anchoring my relays. So I think her teammate can always could count on Candace. When she got the stick, she was going to be a dog.
Candace is one of the most decorated track and field athletes in the history of Ohio athletics, especially in the Division III division. She still holds 4 state records, and no one else holds even 3 state records in the Division III. I mean, she's an all-time great. She's probably the all-time great Division III sprinter in the history of Ohio athletics.
Candace brought recognition to Gilmour Academy and to our track and field program, not just to Gilmour, but to the neighborhoods all around Northeast Ohio and throughout the state. When schools came to compete, or when we go to compete in other places, they still talk about Candace Longino-Thomas. And we have athletes today who are coming here at Gilmour because of Candace's legacy.
I think, and unfortunately I wasn't there to see it happen, but her mother just told me about when she broke the state record in 100. Just that feeling that came over, and I always tell people, I got to thank her for letting me live through her. Since I was a high jumper that couldn't jump high, but I got to live through her and watch all her accomplishments. So that's one thing I just want to say. If nothing else you use on this, I want to say thank you, Candace, for letting me ride along with you.
It means a lot to me. I do want to, give some thanks to who I was nominated by, my coaches, Coach Klein and Coach Lindley. And I don't know if Coach Chappelle is still there, but, all 3 of those coaches, they helped me throughout my entire career at Gilmour, and they put me in this position to get the scholarship that I had and everything. So it definitely means a lot to me, just because I didn't even know we had a Hall of Fame, honestly. So when I got the call, I was really shocked. So yeah, I'm still at a loss of words about the whole thing, but I'm extremely excited, and I'm really honored to be considered to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Her ability to connect with people, and regardless of the circumstances and the challenges that she faced in life, she's still resilient. She actually cares about people in general, and I think that oftentimes people associate being aggressive and trying to get over and being assertive about things, but in fact, I think one of her main goals is to connect with people, and that being a leader, you have to know how to influence and connect with people, yet also be able to accomplish your goals. And I think that's one of the key qualities that sets her apart from her peers.
She came to Gilmour, and right off the bat, her first year in track and field, she helped lead us to our first state title. And we couldn't get it done before that. When she came in, she was the missing piece. And as we became more and more talented as a team, she was a mentor to the other young ladies that came in, like Melanie Frank, like Becca Simcoe, like Candace Longino-Thomas. I mean, she ran with them all. And her variety of her events she ran were amazing. So she's everything you would ask for. If I could choose a person right off the bat to be like a daughter, I would choose someone like Brittany Tyree.
Well, when I think of Brittany, I think of this quote that Manja once said. She basically said, like air, still I breathe. And I think of Brittany, and all the qualities come out about her as far as her ability to connect with people, and regardless of the circumstances and the challenges that she faced in life, she's still resilient. And she always has a positive attitude about whatever she wants to accomplish, and she never gives up. She's a fighter. And I just appreciate the fact that she cares, but yet she can be assertive in the right decisions, and also go towards her dreams without letting other people get in the way to stop her from accomplishing those goals.
She always put 100% into everything she did, and in that regard served as a great role model, not just for the younger girls, but also for her peers, the girls in the same grade, and even the girls ahead of her. Brittany was so valuable, did so many different events on the track. Was a state qualifier in multiple events, relays, 800 meters, all Ohioan. Even did some hurdling. And just to show her well-roundedness, and she ran cross country in the fall, so she ran 5Ks and was an important member of our cross country team. Just a really kind and genuine person. So polite always. Just a dream to work with. Any coach would love to have a team full of Brittany Tyrees.
Brittany was my captain and a Lancer Award winner when she was just a junior. As a freshman, she came in talented and able-bodied, and we knew we had a really special athlete, but she's really a special person. She really cares. She had a big sister here who played basketball, but her big deal was to make her own way.
Brittany actually qualified to the state meet in her freshman year, and when the gun went off, I'll never forget it vividly. She's a freshman, and she ran the entire race and led the race for 780 yards. And we just thought she was going to be a state champion. She got caught at the tape. And I mean, people talked about it, and I thought about it to myself, how is she going to handle this? But to my surprise, she didn't allow that to get in the way. She went on later in her career to go to Ohio University, become a heptathlon star there, and she is ranked in the top 5th in the nation in the school history as being a heptathlon star. So she's one to not allow setbacks to get in her way, and she's furthered that in her career and her profession as well.
I am deeply honored to be inducted into Gilmour Academy's Hall of Fame for track and field. This moment signifies years of intentionality, dedication, and growth. Looking back at the last 15+ years, my Gilmour experience stands out as one of the cornerstones in shaping my career. It was a launching pad into opportunities I've wished and I've prayed for. My experience encompassed challenges that tested me, victories that celebrated my determination, and more importantly, defining moments that forged my character. Today, I'm not just a Hall of Fame inductee, but I'm also a leader, a mentor, and a warrior, striving to leave my mark. I'm grateful for my parents' and grandparents' guidance, my sister's competitive spirit that they've instilled in me, my coach's belief, and my friends' emotional strength. To everyone who's been part of my journey, thank you.
And she was very talented. She had an incredibly aggressive, hard serve. She's also an excellent blocker. Kelsey was our setter, and in volleyball, the setter's touching the ball almost every time it comes over the net, and very, very crucial part of being successful volleyball team. She was just a really steady player. Didn't get too high or too low. Always just stayed aggressive. Didn't let mistakes really bother her.
Kelsey, she just kind of had this unyielding spirit of always lifting people up and making the best out of any situation. If we were in the middle of a game and we were down by 10 points, like, it didn't matter. Like, it was, hey, we got to focus on this point, and just always lifting everybody up.
And she was very talented. She had an incredibly aggressive, hard serve. She's also an excellent blocker on the right side, with the other teams attacking and the outside hitters attacking most of the time. Yeah, she just did it all.
She was just a phenomenal athlete. Like, if you think of the girl who's more or less like the jock, but just didn't have that attitude, right? Like, I was not anywhere near the setter that she was, but like, she would always volley with me. She would always help out some of the other girls that, you know, weren't like these top level players.
I want to thank Gilmour and Kelsey for providing yet another awesome chapter in our family's book of great memories. And from a very proud dad, thank you, Kelsey, for being a great ambassador for Gilmour, a kind and generous good person, and for being our daughter.
And I reached out to her teammates to help me understand what it was like to play with Kelsey. So here's some things that some of her former teammates have said. Kelsey was one of the most focused and competitive players I had the opportunity to compete with. She really pulled our team together in some of our toughest matches. Off the court, Kelsey was one of the kindest and funniest people I knew. You could always count on her to keep the mood lighthearted, even after a tough match. Playing with Kelsey always brought the laughs. Something that will always be remembered are the faces she would make when she would have an error. If she let a set go and it was wild, she would always stop and stare out like, "What was that?" Kelsey was always an amazing player and teammate, and she always was much harder on herself than anyone else could be. She always wanted to do her best, not just for herself, but for her team. She is the girl you could always rely on for a laugh and to pick you up when you were down.
She was just grateful for everything that was brought her way. And I also do think, you know, it happened at home too with her parents, where they kind of just like instilled this ideal in her of success and perseverance and persistence and hard work. Like, for example, her dad, Bill, I'll never forget, he always had this van, and we would like joke around about it because it was like the volleyball van. But, you know, they were at every single game, you know, always there to pick her up from practice. There was no funny business, you know, after school. There was no funny business on the weekends. You know, when it was volleyball season, it was volleyball season.
I just can't tell you how much excitement there was. That sometimes the tension was so strong in the gym that you could cut it with a knife. But this group of ladies saw their way through it, and I think they almost just like to build that tension so they could rise to the occasion.
Well, back then, nobody expected much from Gilmour, and Kelsey being the quarterback per se of the team, led the team for 4 years as varsity starter, and for 3 years I was there. We kind of established that level of excellence for volleyball that Gilmour volleyball is today.
Her softball career would see records set in strikeouts for a single game and for a season. And unfortunately and sadly, Coach Jimmy D can't be here to enjoy and share in our memories tonight.
Something I see like with Kelsey even today, so she does all of our insurance for all the companies. She does it for, you know, our own personal real estate needs, and I refer her to all of my clients because I know that that exact same athlete that I grew up with is, you know, doing the same things with her work.
So I was lucky enough to go to Gilmour during high school, which was a time where you're trying to find who you are. And being surrounded by so many people with high moral quality and just good values was a really fortunate experience for me. So I can't say enough about it. It's probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. And as far as getting this award, I really think I was just fortunate enough to be a part of a team. We all wanted to work really hard, and it was just a team effort to get us to where we got, you know, going to states a few times. It was just all around great community, great experience, great teammates. There are so many people I want to thank, especially my parents and my godparents, Uncle Tim and Aunt Donna Panzica. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to go to the Gilmour or even know about it. So grateful for all of them. And the older I get, the more I appreciate what I had at Gilmour. I've never been surrounded by such great people in my life.
Best quality, and it remains today. His enthusiasm for not just athletics, but for life is absolutely infectious.
I met Peter when we arrived as boarding students at Gilmour in 1961. 14-year-old boarding students, he from Pittsburgh, I from Detroit. And for 4 years, 26 of us were like brothers. So we did all the crazy things that brothers and boys of that age would do.
I've known Peter Wolff for over 75 years. Hard to believe, but we grew up blocks away from each other in Pittsburgh. We were roommates at Gilmour, and we both graduated from the University of Pittsburgh together. Peter's best quality, and it remains today, his enthusiasm for not just athletics, but for life is absolutely infectious. That rubbed off on anybody who was around him, certainly his teammates. A never give up kind of attitude, gave 100% in everything he did.
In the mid-60s, skateboarding in the Midwest did not exist. Peter, however, had a piece of wood to which he fastened some metal wheels and used to fly down Tudor Hill. There was a hill from Tudor House down to the field house on asphalt, never fell. I tried it once, almost killed myself. So he was skilled at everything he did athletically.
His athletic prowess is almost unprecedented. He won 9 varsity letters, would have won 10 had he not been ill one of the seasons in, I think, his sophomore year. One of his greatest accomplishments really was he was just a tiny 125-pound freshman, I think it was, playing tennis against seniors who were 175 pounds and 6'2", and he won the championship in tennis 3 years in a row. Would have won 4 again if he hadn't been ill the one season. So that's just a great example.
He was very outgoing. I was pretty shy and homesick, actually. He was everything I was not, so we were quite a contrast. He had a smile that won't quit. You'll see that for yourself soon. And he was a spirited fellow. I don't know that I ever saw Peter down.
60 years ago, way back in the last century, I had the privilege of going to Gilmour Academy Prep School. And it was a preparatory school to get me ready during my high-energy teenage days for what was to come. And this is a job that they did so well. I had 2 main goals in high school. One was to study, and the other one was to do sport. I also made friends for life at Gilmour. Unbelievable. This is literally the camaraderie crew of 1965, and they're with me tonight. And I'm so happy to be able to have them come from long distances to be there to celebrate with me on this honor. And it's just a nice feeling to know. Now, quite frankly, I never expected an honor of this magnitude at my age. But more importantly, what I learned and all the friends that I made were still with me. And my most important takeaway from Gilmour is that the GA now also stands for gratitude and appreciation for all that I learned and experienced. And that was fabulous. Thank you.